You're listening to the Create a Life That Is Beautiful podcast. I'm your host, Leticia Ringe, and this is episode number 50. Welcome, my beautiful friends, to the Create a Life That Is Beautiful podcast. I am your host, Leticia Ringe, and for those who don't know me, I am a life and business coach, and I help people who want to make a difference in the world create a life and a business that is beautiful to you. And so that means creating a life that allows you to thrive on all levels. Physically, spiritually, creatively, financially, emotionally. We want all of it, and we want to make a difference and impact. We want to align with our purpose, and we want to align with the success that our soul is calling us to. So welcome today to episode 50. I cannot believe we are already at episode number 50. So it was just over 1 year ago that I first launched the Create a Life That Is Beautiful podcast. And now we're up to episode 50 and season 3. It's just wild to think about. I'm so happy and grateful for this opportunity. And I just want to say thank you to every single one of you who are tuning in and listening, because this podcast would not be happening without all of you. And as I always mention, it is a co-creation. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And thank you for all of you who have been long-time listeners. It's so beautiful to have this community. So today I want to get started talking about a question that many of us will be asking ourselves when it comes to really any dream that we have. And that question is, do I have what it takes? Now, today I'm going to be talking about this specifically in the context of running a business. However, you can take these same principles to any other creative project that you have your eye on or your heart is calling you to in your life. These are really important, but first I want to open with a bit of a story. So before I started running my business, and so I started in 2017, I left my corporate job and I decided I was going to go all into my business. Now, before I actually got started creating my business, because before we actually launch it to the world, of course, there is all of the work that we need to do to prepare it. So before I actually took some, pretty significant action to get that started, to start creating everything I needed for my website and my blog, my social media and all of that, before I got to that stage where I gave myself the permission to actually get started, I was constantly battling this question of, do I have what it takes? Now, as you'll know if you've been a long time listener, I actually knew that I wanted to start a business from 2015, right? As early as then. I knew at that stage because I had been following other people, other life coaches, other podcasters, YouTubers, creatives, people with online businesses, and I was loving what I was hearing. Actually, it wasn't even online businesses. It was any entrepreneurs. I was loving listening to interviews on podcasts with other entrepreneurs and hearing about their life and also the beautiful wisdom that they were sharing, because really a business allows us to use it as a space for our own personal development and growth too. So I loved hearing all of their stories and I was just so interested, and I knew, as in I had a deep knowing from that moment that I wanted to be an entrepreneur and that it was right for me. But I didn't know at that stage what I wanted my business to be. And so over the next, let's say, almost 2 years until I actually started my business, what I was doing was following my curiosities and allowing myself to find my passion and my purpose. And so that became self-development, because I absolutely fell in love. And so I then ended up being so extremely passionate about all the tools I was learning, and I wanted to share that with the world. Now, that passion ignited pretty quickly. So I'd say within the next 6 months, I knew that this was the area that I wanted to keep learning about and keep working in. Now, we never have to marry our careers, and we certainly don't need to marry a business, which is one of the beautiful things about a business, right? Because it can grow and evolve with you rather than committing and limiting yourself to a specific job, right? We're just so much bigger than that. And so that's why a business can be a really beautiful option, because you grow and you can change and evolve and grow, and the business does as well, right? So anyway, I already was passionate about a topic. I knew I wanted to have a business, but I kept asking myself, but do I actually have what it takes to be an entrepreneur, to run my own business, to have my own small business, to be a solopreneur? Do I really have what it takes? And the biggest thing that was stopping me was that I was so scared of failing. I was so scared of coming out and saying, okay, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm going to give this a go. I felt like everybody's eyes would be on me, and I was honestly so scared that I would fail. How would I be judged? What would people think of me? And so it was actually, I'd moved over to London by that stage. I'd gotten into another corporate job, left my career as a lawyer behind, but I was still in the legal industry. And I was listening to literally all of the podcasts I could get my hands on about creating a business, listening to as many other entrepreneurs that I could, watching YouTube videos, doing all of the things. But I still wasn't actually taking action to start my business. And I kept thinking to myself, well, I don't have a clear idea, right? And let me tell you, that clear idea didn't happen until much longer down the track, like way past starting my business. Because it is actually we get the clarity through taking the action and getting started. This is why we always hear, start before you're ready. This is a big one that Marie Forleo as well is always talking about. It's true. You've got to start before you're ready, because it's through the action that we actually get the clarity that we're craving, right? But this question, do I have what it takes? Often on the other side of that, like with me, is this perceived fear of failure. So here I am in London. I signed up for a free conference to go to, right? And I can't remember what the actual topic was, but it was full of people who wanted to have a business or had a business and wanted to meet other people. And it was literally a huge room with like 1,000 people. It was very masculine focused in a lot of ways in the way it was run, and particularly with the way the marketing was then run at the end of this free event, to then get people to sort of literally physically rush to the back of the room to be the first to get these bonuses that were available. And so I didn't like that part of it, and I quickly left when that was happening. But one thing that did happen was we had to talk about what was the number one fear that was stopping us, and we had to tell someone next to us. And so I had a lovely conversation with a woman sitting next to me, and then we ended up having to talk about this fear to multiple people. And the fear that came up for me was fear of failure. And I felt actually really ashamed to admit that. I was kind of too proud to admit that, but I had to, because I had to say something, and it was what came to mind. And can you guess what happened? Well, that was one of the top fears of the people around me too, because like all of our fears, they're universal. And so the gentleman who was leading this conference then started talking about fear of failure and gave this example that just shifted things immediately for me. And that was that people who have this fear of failure, and so they never take any action because they're scared of failing and being judged by the people around them, are the ones who never end up actually being successful. Because for every single successful person, every single person who's ended up creating a business or something that they really love, some other passion project, has always been open to failure, because failure is actually a learning opportunity. And so the real failure is the person who never even tries, because they never actually have a chance of creating something that is successful. Wow. Yes, so that was a huge, huge moment for me that helped me shift that fear. And I always come back to this every step of the way. Failure is simply a learning opportunity. And if I fail at something, if I launch something and it doesn't go well, if I have an event and not many people come, if I start some other medium and it doesn't go well, that for me is just data about what the preferences are of my community and my audience. And so I have to show up, be open to receiving the ideas and inspiration that are coming through. And then it is my job to go out there and talk about it and communicate it in the best way possible so that then my audience can decide whether this is something that is right for them right now. And actually, sometimes things just aren't right for people at this very moment, but they are right in the future. So for instance, with a lot of things that you'll write blog posts, a great piece of advice that I was given from Tim Ferriss, not directly or personally, but on one of his podcasts, he spoke about the fact that every single time he writes it with the intention of it not being read for 2 to 5 years from now. And this makes sense, right? Especially if you're innovating and you are open to receiving ideas and you're following inspiration. Often this is going to be things that are different to the norm. And that's a great thing because this is what helps us all as a community to evolve. Okay, so I shifted one of the major fears that I had in the beginning. And then I continued to listen to more information about how to start a business, but not actually taking any action to get started on my business. So what I didn't know was whether I actually had what it takes to be a business owner. So I had at that stage, my dad was an entrepreneur, but I didn't have anything to do with his business. As a lawyer, I worked with plenty of business owners, but they were usually like multi-millionaires and had huge companies. So I had not had any personal experience of actually running my own business. I just had the desire to do it. So the point that I want to make here is that until we start something, until we give something a try, we can never know whether we actually have what it takes. But in my opinion, we have what it takes when we have the desire to do something. Otherwise, we would not be receiving those desires. And now if we actually look at it, look at all the different people who have started successful businesses. There are plenty of entrepreneurs out there who have never had any experience before in business school or anything else and who have created a successful business. So many. There are plenty of entrepreneurs out there who have not had a great upbringing and have created an amazing business. Let's look at Oprah, for example. There are plenty of entrepreneurs out there who don't consider themselves to be extroverted and they have created incredible businesses too, right? It's got nothing to do with being extroverted. And I just throw that one in there because I know it's one that many people think that they need to be extroverted. And there are plenty of people who would consider themselves a naturally shy person and they've created successful businesses as well. Entrepreneurship is so broad, right? There are so many different personalities and people who make up being successful in running their business. What it takes is passion, right? Passion for what you want to create, for the problem that you're solving. And so this is why I say that when you have the desire to do something, this means you have the inspiration or the curiosity, something is calling in you in that direction. That is worth more than any experience or prior experience you'll ever have. Because if you go into something and you don't have the motivation or the desire to do it, your heart won't be in it. And so how long is that going to last? And if it does, you're going to be in a similar position to the one that you're probably in if you are doing something that your heart isn't in right now, which is that you feel unfulfilled. You feel like, what is the point of all this? You feel like I'm being undervalued. I'm not being respected. There's so much more possible for me. And this tends to then create a lot of different negative emotions for you, right? Because We're all here to fulfill our purpose, right? Which is to be our most authentic selves and to uncover and decondition from all of the beliefs and stories that have been getting in our way, all of the people pleasing we've been doing, all of the living up to external expectations. No, we're here to follow our inspirations and our interests. We are here to refine and craft and cultivate the gifts that we were born with, right? The gifts that make you unique. These are your zones of genius. This is what you're here to do. So, in my opinion, anyone has what it takes to be a successful business owner. What you need is the interest and passion to do it, even if it feels really scary. And if it feels really scary, that's an incredibly good sign that you're on to something that your heart is in, because often there'll be some sort of uncertainty around it. Now, with my story, so I took 2 years then to get to the position of actually starting working on my business. And that is where all of the real learning actually began, right? So if I could turn back time, what I would do is start my business a lot earlier. I would have started at least another year before I started, because it doesn't matter that your idea is vague. What matters is that you need to get started, because it is through taking action that you'll actually find the clarity in your business. So I would say that it wasn't until then, another 9 months later, that I truly received the clarity that what I wanted to do was focus on purpose. Even though, yes, that was there circling in the ether for a lot longer than that, it wasn't until I actually had started my business, had launched my website, had done all of these things, launched my offering, that I started to realize that really what I wanted to focus on was purpose. And as I've gone along, now my focus is on business. But right from the get-go, it's all been the same themes woven through. I've worked with the same clients. My very first client, my very first 3 clients were all working on their business. So we have to trust that when we have a desire to do something, that this means that we have what it takes. And anything that we don't know how to do, for instance, the tech stuff, if you're not techie, I wasn't either, there is support out there for you. You can invest in other people who know how to do this. You can look up YouTubes and blogs and get information there. There are plenty of how-to guides for any software that you use. And you make it happen, right? It just flows, but you've got to start. You've got to give yourself permission to get started in the first place. Now, when you do ignore those desires, what generally happens is the universe will give you a bit of a push. Like, for instance, I have 2 clients at the moment who have recently been made redundant from their jobs. And this was so interesting because both of them really, really, really wanted to start a business. Their heart wasn't in their jobs at all. They wanted to start a business, and actually what was getting in the way of getting started was their work, right? Because it's tiring when you've got a job as well and a business, and so that was an excuse not to move forward on the business, which I totally get. This was the same thing that happened for Pat Flynn. I don't know if any of you know Pat Flynn from the Smart Passive Income podcast, but he was made redundant from his career. I can't remember exactly what he was doing, but that's not really important. And he decided to start a podcast. And now it's huge. He has like 50 million downloads. He's got a number of podcasts. He runs courses and programs, and he has been really successful. And he found his gift through the redundancy that happened because he wasn't living in alignment with his purpose. So the universe will send you big signs when you really aren't listening. So I want you to ask yourself, do I have the desire to start a business? If the answer to that is yes, then I urge you to start taking actual steps to bring it into creation. So what does it actually take then to start a business? I think that's the better question, not do I have what it takes, but what does it take to start a business? And the answer to that is you need to have an online home, right? Almost every business without exception today will have a website. This is an online home where your community and your audience will be able to find you and be able to go to learn more about your work. It's a beautiful creative process coming up with a website that you can be 100% involved and immersed with in creating the website yourself, or you can collaborate with a web designer and get that created together. But either way, the website is there to share more about what your business is about, what problem you're solving, what your story is, to start sharing content that's really helpful and meaningful to your soulmate clients. You also can use the wonderful world of social media to be able to connect and meet more of your ideal clients and grow your audience and connect with other like-hearted people who are also interested in the same things that you're interested in. This is a wonderful process. This is a way to share our voice, and it's such an incredible opportunity. And I think especially for women, right? Because especially right if you consider yourself to be shy or introverted, because when it's behind a screen and we have so many choices. We can write, we can get on camera, we can share photos. There's so many different things that we can do with social media. Whereas once upon a time, we needed to literally go out there and physically connect with people, which could then, drain some of our energy, and we might not have the stamina to do this. Today, we have this wonderful world of social media, and we get to choose the best option for us and for our audience. And so it becomes not about marketing, it is about connecting with the people that you can serve. And so for every moment, every day that you are not moving forward on your business and your dreams, every day that you don't move forward, it's not only you that suffers, it's not only you that doesn't get the benefit of the work that you're meant to be doing in the world, it is the person on the other end of that you get to help. It's the person who can use your services, who needs to hear your story, who needs to hear it in the way that you've got to tell it. It's the person on the other end of your products, your services, the other end of a blog post, the other end of the social media of Instagram or Facebook or YouTube or whatever platform it is that you want to use. It is that person on the other end who needs to hear the way that you are saying it, who wants to work with you because they resonate with your energy, they resonate with your personality. That is a person who is also suffering. So if we go back to my story, if I had started maybe a year and a half earlier, think of all the people I would have been able to serve then. Think of all the things that I would have been able to create in that time. Think about the cost to me of not moving forward over that year and a half. Think about the cost to my health, the cost to my energy. And of course, the cost to the people and my communities who I wasn't serving then. And the same goes for you. So we also need to be able to create products or services that will support our ideal clients. This is essential because we need to be able to use our gifts and message to be able to support the people that we're here to serve. And so this requires an energetic exchange. You put a lot of energy into creating a space or a product or a service for your ideal clients that is going to help solve the problem that they are looking for you to help solve. And then in exchange, they're going to give you their commitment, their energy, their financial investment so that they can solve the problem that you are helping them with. So we've got to stop seeing this as a really complicated process. Yes, there are a lot of steps involved to get it up and running, but once all of this is up and running, things get a lot easier. And so this is why I've created my new group coaching program, Create Your Beautiful Business, which is usually the process that I would go through with my clients one-to-one. Now what I'm doing is putting this in a group coaching program so that it's at one, a cheaper price point for you, but two, that you've got the community and support for you in creating this business. Because what happens at the beginning of starting a business, often we don't actually know other people who are also at a similar stage, right? Or we don't know other entrepreneurs, we don't know other business owners. And we're dealing with fear, which we're all dealing with. And so we think we're all alone. It's super beneficial to have a group of people who will become your new biz besties, right? Who you can call on for support, who you can see are also in the same place as you, starting a business. This gives you confidence. This lets you know you do have what it takes, and this will help propel you and move you forward even faster. So I'm taking you through in that journey all of these steps that I've been talking about: how to create your business, your online home, how to market, how to pick social media, how to start creating content that serves, how to come up with your first product or service, how to launch that, and also importantly, how to create a mindset to set you up for your success, and also drawing upon your masculine and feminine energy and cyclical wisdom so that you're creating a business that makes your difference, but also allows you to thrive, right? Because we want to be in it for the long term. We want the sustainable options. It's got to be an enjoyable process. Otherwise, what is the point? What is the point? We don't leave our day jobs behind. We don't leave whatever it is we're currently doing behind to go and create something that feels like we're trapped in, right? We go into these businesses because we want creative freedom. We want fulfillment. We want to do something meaningful. We want to use our gifts. We want to be experiencing joy and fun. And this is what we get when we follow our beautiful interests and desires. So I hope you can see that you do have what it takes. If you have the desire, this is all you need. Now, on a day-to-day basis, I wanted to give you a quick glimpse as well behind the scenes in my business. So it depends on what your business is like, but really behind the scenes on a day-to-day basis, what I do is I see clients one-to-one, I create content. So I create content for social media, I create blog posts, I create these podcasts, I create videos, lives, all sorts of things, because that's what I enjoy doing, right? I really love to share these messages. I love connecting with people. I run trainings. I have the Make a Difference Soul Tribe, which at the moment we've been running the Soulful Business Challenge. So I've been taking people through my feminine essence framework for starting a business, which you can still access, but there will only be a limited time replay on that. So if you are listening to this, I suggest going and signing up for that ASAP. So you can do that at leticiaringe.com/soulful business. And so I'm showing up with connecting with my clients in the offerings that I provide. So they could be workshops, online things, they could be in-person events, one-to-one coaching, group coaching, all of these things. So I'm creating the content and the resources needed for those. I'm getting out there and sharing my message on social media, which for me is a really fun option. I really particularly love video, and I'm tweaking my website as I need to whenever I have a new product or service, whenever it needs an update, because we're always growing and evolving, which means that our website can too, which means the services that we get to offer our clients can too. And so I work at home, I go to cafes, sometimes I collaborate with other people and we chat and we come up with ideas. I connect with other entrepreneurs so that we can talk about how it's going, how our business is going, what we've been learning, anything that we're struggling with, helping each other to move through that. I always make sure that I'm working with someone, so a coach. I take group coaching, I do courses. I'm always expanding my knowledge because this is going to help me show up in a bigger way for my community. And so that was something that I did very quickly. I mean, it did take me a few months, so probably, how long did it take me? 3 months after I starting my website to create it. I then went and got a coach and said, okay, I need to create my website. Please, can we focus on getting this website out? So I had the accountability to do it. And I Also got the support of a community. So I signed up for another group coaching program. I got a qualification, all of these things, right? And this helped me to propel me forward. And so we think often that we need to wait to make an investment until we're successful. But the issue is that success comes from the investment because you believe in yourself. You're aligning with your success now rather than waiting for the evidence first, which is a big problem. So I always like to use the example of if you knew that you were going to put 50 hours into something, research it all yourself, and then come up with an average sort of product or whatever it is that you're creating, versus spending 20 hours making an investment financially and time and energetically from learning from someone who's done it before in a way that you feel is aligned with you and that allows you to then create something that you're really extremely proud of. What would you choose, and which one do you think is going to give you a better outcome in the end as well? It's going to be the one where you made the investment. So, do I have what it takes? Yes, you do have what it takes because you've got the desire to do it. Do I have what it takes to do the day-to-days of a business? Absolutely, because you get to choose how your business works, what it looks like on a day-to-day basis. My business reflects the way that it works for me. You get to do the same for you. And how can I support myself in the best possible way to create something that feels really aligning and fun? That is to get the support you need so that you can do it in a way that you feel proud of. And this is where I want to invite you into Create Your Beautiful Business, my group coaching program. It's for those of you who want to start a business. So whether your idea is extremely vague, or whether you've got tons of clarity on it, or even whether you've recently started and you know that you're not showing up in the way that you need to, you're not happy with maybe the copy on your website, you haven't got your product out yet, you're not showing up on social media in the way you want to, this program is going to help you create a foundation for your success. This is key, right? When we create a business, we want to have a rock solid foundation. So all of the things that I've learned since I started my business 2 years ago, all of the things that I've learned through coaching my clients through this process as well, all of this is wrapped up in this course. I've refined and cultivated it. I've done plenty of courses. I've worked with copywriting experts. I've worked with marketing experts. I've created, a podcast, YouTube channel. I've been on all of the main platforms. I've created my own website. I've invested in, photography that's aligned with my brand. I've invested in building a personal brand and getting advice on all of that. I've done courses on all sorts of topics. I've done group coaching programs, worked with coaches of all different investments. And I've got business coaching through, my life coaching qualification, the theta healing. I am now putting all of this into a really easy step-by-step program to help you create a business that you love. I'll be taking you through how to set yourself up with success with using your masculine and feminine superpowers and getting your mindset right, using your cyclical wisdom. Then we'll be going through how to get your website up and running so that you have a beautiful personal brand, so that you've got copy that is going to connect with your soulmate clients, how to identify in a really easy way who your soulmate clients are without having to go through those really annoying, detailed ideal client avatars and all of that I found just really unhelpful. You're also going to be taken through how to market your services, how to use social media, how to create content in a way that's actually really fun and aligning for you, how to do all of this in a way that feels high vibe, that doesn't feel like it's icky, that it feels like, hey, I'm showing up here to inform my audience. I'm showing up here to make great connections with people, to get to know people better. And very importantly, how to launch your first paid product or service and how to come up with that product or service. So I'll be taking you through all of that, and we'll be doing it in a small coaching program, so maximum 10 people. This is so you have some new business best friends that you can call on whenever you need. You go through it together, you expand one another. It's going to be a beautiful process together. And by the end of this 8 weeks, it's only 2 months, you're going to have your beautiful business up and running. And then there's plenty of bonuses that I'm also providing, which you can check out. All the details at leticiaringe.com/create your beautiful biz. So if that is something that you would love to join, I'd love to have you join us. But the number one question that I want you to ask for yourself is, do I have the desire to do it? And here is the question that finally got me to go all in. And it was, what would I do if I had no fear? And that's when I said I'd start my business. So start taking action today, beautiful. Actually take action to start creating your business. Make a commitment to yourself. Show up for your dreams and desires. Overcome those pesky limiting beliefs that are getting in your way through taking action. You don't need to clear out anything before. You just need to take the action that is in alignment with what your heart is calling you to do. And in no time, you will have your business or any other creative project or whatever your dream is up and running. And then you'll have the fulfillment of actually bringing that to life. Oh my gosh. So I want to hear from you. What are you excited to create? Tell me more. Go share over on Instagram, tag me in your stories, talk about what you're excited to create, or send me a direct message and let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Remember that every single person, no matter how successful they are, suffer from imposter syndrome, suffer from fears and doubt. I still do. It's normal. It's just a sign that you care and that you, my friend, are on the right path, because yes, you do have what it takes. Alrighty, I'll see you next week. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Create a Life That Is Beautiful podcast. If you feel called, I would love it if you could please take a minute to rate and review this podcast on iTunes. This helps other people like you find it. And I also invite you to take a moment to share this episode with a friend you know needs to hear it.